Well, hello, and welcome to Drones, an introduction to almost everything you ever wanted to know about, but might have been afraid to ask. The first thing I want to do is take myself off the screen so that I'm not such a distraction. So, when you hear the term drone, what comes to mind? Is it something like this? Now, these are often associated with drones because they are, in fact, drones. These are military grade drones, and they're usually used for a very specific and often a militaristic purpose. There are other drones that are similar to these that are used for homeland security and border patrol and those types of things. However, when we're talking about drones, we're talking about something a little bit different. For the most part, we focus in on the quadcopters. From perspective, this is an actual overhead view of these drones, and if you look from left to right or from right to left, we'll go from the right to left. That tiny small drone on the very beginning is what we would consider a micro drone. A micro drone is often associated with a toy or something that's just used for entertainment purposes. Then you have the sub 250 gram drones. Now, the sub 250 gram drones are those drones that are less than 250 grams or less than half a pound. So, the sub 250 gram drone was developed in response to an FAA rule dealing with the weight ratio requirement for registering a drone. After that, you have the DJI series drones, which are just a little bit above 250 grams, as well as the DJI Maverick series, which is a little bit larger and has a few more capabilities, and then finally the Autel Evo and other larger series drones. Now, I break these drones down into two types of categories. One, you have your consumer grade drone. It's not to say that you can't use these drones for other things, but the primary purpose is for the typical consumer. They're using it for photography, for entertainment, for hobbyists, for recreation. Then you have what's considered the prosumer drone. The prosumer grade drones are those that are used in business, for work, for landscaping, for in construction, for inspections, and those types of things. Let's start with the terminology. The terminology UA, or uncrewed versus unmanned aircraft, is something that the FAA and others are now trying to move away from to make it more gender neutral. The UAV, or uncrewed aerial vehicle, commonly known as a drone, is an aircraft without a human pilot, and that's the important piece. The pilot isn't aboard the drone actually operating it and causing it to go one direction or another. The UAS, or the uncrewed aircraft system, is a UAV or a piece of the UAS, and all that term really means is that you're including the other components that go with the drone itself. Finally, the SUAS, or small uncrewed aircraft vehicle or system, is anything that's below 55 pounds or 250, more than above 55 pounds, below 55 pounds and above 250 grams. This is often considered a distinction without a difference because you hear the term drone and often you'll refer to it or you'll reflect on some type of drone. As you'll note in this simple pictograph, Again, the drones have a variety of different configurations as well as their specific capabilities and abilities. Oftentimes, people mistakenly think that drones are there to spy on you, or to look into windows, or to look into glass doors or whatnot. So what I did was I put together a very short video to demonstrate that that's not quite the capability of a drone. I just used a residence, my residence. You'll see over here on the left-hand side, the drone itself, it's just hovering. And in fact, this photo is frozen in place. On the right side, you'll see me walking out the door, across the patio, and then taking a look at the drone that's allegedly looking into my window. Now you'll note that this is a picture from the drone's perspective over here, so you can see you can't even see inside. You can't see the curtains or anything else. All you see is the reflective surface, as you would with anything else. Here's me, again, showing the patio door, which is a much brighter, much wider space. And as you look into the patio, you might be able to see just a shadow of me in the background, holding the drone. But then again, as you move the drone over, looking straight in, looking from any direction, you really can't see very clearly what's on the inside. You might see the vision or a shadow of somebody, but beyond that, not a whole lot. So that's hopefully going to help to debunk the myth that drones are used to go and spy on people or to look in on people. Most drones typically used in the UAS market usually have quadcopters, that's 4 rotors, and that adds in redundancy and it reduces the opportunity for mishaps. You'll note up at the top there are about 20 or more different commercial uses for drone cases. This is just a small sniglet of the types of use cases that are in use today. One of the most common uses for drones is the roof inspection or roof assessment. Saves both time and it increases the amount of safety. The next use case is bridge inspections. Now, bridge inspections are by and large very hazardous, very time consuming, and they can be very difficult to do. And for that reason, they're almost always done by hand, in person, one bridge at a time. So in this case, the bridge inspection was being completed. However, the truck that's used to conduct the bridge inspection has 2 people on the underside. This truck had an incident and it fell over. As a result, the individuals were trapped in the truck until they could retrieve them with another truck and pull the bridge inspection vehicle back. When they were using a drone, in this case it happened to be this particular model of a drone, they were able to conduct a bridge inspection, the same bridge inspection, with no mishaps. Using the drone, they were able to get inside, get high definition photos, as well as videos, and very accurate locations of areas of interest for the bridge itself. Even though the bridge is made out of primarily steel and concrete, the GPS or geographic positioning system that is usually needed for most drones wasn't needed in this case. The drone is able to navigate autonomously by building its own reference as to what that area looks like. This keeps the drone from running into areas on the bridge and then crashing. The high quality camera really came in handy for this particular bridge inspection. Oftentimes, you will see drones used in cinematography. Now, in this case, this is a short video clip from the movie Ambulance. In this movie clip, what you can't see is where the drone is actually flying, but what you can see is the results of the drone. Let's take a look. This is one of the foremost experts in drone flying. He is a champion drone flyer. These are scenes that are shot with the drone, and you can go on YouTube and download this or take a look at this in depth. But what the actors and the others are saying is that with the drone, you can get other pictures, you can get other scenes, you can get other dimensions that you couldn't get otherwise. Here are some of my favorite pieces of the movie. Once you get into the drone itself, or once you get into the movie itself, you'll see how very technical and how very difficult and challenging it is to fly the drone at high speeds in these particular areas. This is called, again, FPV, or first person view. So this is a shot that you couldn't get with anything other than a drone unless you drop a camera from a helicopter. This is another shot of the drone. And this is probably one of the most impressive shots of the movie. It's not the most impressive, but right there. The drone flying in first-person viewer was flying underneath the car as it was transitioning over an obstacle. Again, there's many other aspects of the movie and in the drone, use of the drone itself, that really makes it very interesting. There are two basic uses for drones. You have the drone hobbyist, and then you have the drone professional, or the commercial drone pilot. Now on this slide I have a lot of words, and it's a lot of language, so it kind of violates the typical explanation for when you're putting PowerPoints or slides together, but I want to make sure that you had the right information here. To summarize, recreational pilots fly only for recreational purposes, for enjoyment. They are not compensated or remunerated in any way for their images that they capture, whether that's photographs or video or other types of imagery. There are some other limitations as to where they can and can't fly. One of the big things is to complete the FAA's the Recreational UAS Safety Test, or Trust Test, and then you have to carry proof of passing that test with you, as well as a copy is with your drone. The commercial pilot can fly for fun, but she or he must first pass the FAA's Remote Pilot Certificate and get the SUAS rating airman as a result of the Airman Knowledge Test. The test itself is 60 questions. You have 2 hours in which to do it, and it will cover all aspects of aviation with regard to drones and some fixed wing, as well as airport information. Included in there are sectional charts. How do you read them? Weather, how is it identified? Airspace, controlled airspace, uncontrolled airspace, and airport operations. There's also a number of other areas that are covered that are usually found in many of the trainings that you might see either online or other places where you would get your FAA 107 license. You can do that by scanning this QR code, and it'll take you to the FAA Trust exam if you are a hobbyist, and I highly suggest and recommend that anybody who's going to fly a drone first go and take the Trust exam. Again, if you're flying a 0.55 pound or less than 250 gram drone, this is not a requirement. However, anything that's over 0.55 or over half a pound is something that's required. This is a test that is required for the operator to fly legally in the national airspace. Again, scan the QR code. It'll take you to the trust exam, which is free. It's administered by about 18 different entities. It's online, it's untimed, and it's very, very informative. Finally, just walking through a few things dealing with the recreational or hobbyist pilot, some of the things that you might be familiar with seeing. These are the types of drones that oftentimes that they fly and enjoy. The commercial drone pilot uses drones in a variety of inspection areas as well as law enforcement and other types of assessment. And then the drone payload. Now this is something that's relatively important to know if you were a commercial drone pilot. Over the far left you'll see a type of payload. In this case these are just bright lights, but you also have on the far right infrared or IR. The thermal drones are used for a variety of different reasons as well, including search and rescue, emergency operations, and those types of things. Other applications for drones: mapping and modeling, agricultural analysis, as well as spraying crops. And then, just as an aside, a quick field expedient measure of how you would estimate wind speed, how you could estimate wind speed. Now, this field expedient method does come with a lot of caveats, and it should only be used in the general, as a general explanation or estimation, not an exact science. For an exact science, you would want to have an aeronometer, and that would give you the actual wind speed, or you could just check with your phone. The reason why it's only an estimate is because not all flags are the same. They're not built of the same constructed material. They're not the same size, etc. There's a lot of limitations to drones, which is why they're not exclusively used either in cinematography as well as in other operations. Their primary limitation is their size. The other limitation is the length of time that they can stay in the air. Most drones, commercial grade drones, operate at about 30 to 45 minutes, some a little bit longer, some a little bit shorter. Again, the SUAS with less than 55 pounds. These are just some of the general things that you would need to know in order to successfully take and pass your Part 107 FAA test. There's a lot of don'ts with flying drones, and one of those don'ts is that you don't fly over people. You don't fly at night. You don't fly over stadiums, etc. The recommendations are that you don't fly in water. Now, there are actually specific drones that were built just for that purpose, to fly in water. Last, I would have some Q&As, and if you have any, feel free to email them to me, whether it's trying to decide if you need a drone, and if so, what drone you would want to get. It's really dependent upon your price range, your skill level, and what you plan on doing with it. Well, that's all I have for you. I hope that you found this useful and interesting, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. You have my email here at ematthews@park.edu. You can also just drop me a line at drone@park.edu. My phone number is there as well. Thanks a lot. I hope you have a great and safe drone day.